Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. It's just that easy.
It's just that easy.
I don't sound like you when I say bada bing, bada boom.
It still sounds good though.
Yeah, okay. Welcome to America from the land down under.
Thank you.
So we are here today on Bada bing, bada boom.
It's just that easy.
Oh, you did it. It sounded so good. And we're going to learn all about Ed Fox. Ed, how did you get started? Tell me your Tradebank story, and before that, tell me your business story. How'd you get started in business? And better than that, let's go back a little further. How'd you get here instead of there?
At 15, I left school, told my dad I was the smartest 15-year-old I know, and I opened a convenience store. A full-on convenience store, and the first year worked my butt off. I was there 6 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week as a 15-year-old. Mum and Dad would come in and help me occasionally. Actually, on Thursdays, Dad had to come in and write the check for the cigarette guy because the cigarette guy wouldn't let me sign the check, even though I was at 15. I shouldn't have been on the checking account anyway, but Dad and Mum and I had set it up that way. So I went to my dad and I said, "Look, I've got it all planned out." He says, "You got no money?" I said, "I got $80. He says, "You can't start a business with $80. I don't know whether that was reverse psychology or not, but I started a business with $80. I talked to milkman who delivered milk to us at our house back in the 80s, 80, 82. I talked to him about, like, if I opened a shop, would you deliver the milk? He says, "Well, how are you going to pay? Your dad bounces checks all the time." He says, "I can't afford that with the shop." He goes, "You guys only get 2 liters of milk. You want 100 liters of milk." I said, "Well, what if you put the milk in on Monday and I pay you on Tuesday for the milk I sold on Monday?" He said, "That'll work." I said, "Let's do that for a few months and you see that I'm as good as my word." And he said, "Well, do you want me to bring the baker up to you?" I said, "Oh, that'd be great." So I think we had bread, milk, and soft drinks when we started. And anyway,
That's pretty awesome.
First year we did 100 grand. And then Mum and Dad said, "You're wearing yourself out," because I'm living in the back of the shop. Just sleeping on a sleeping bag in the back of the shop because I start at 5:30 in the morning and went till midnight. So Mum and Dad came in the end of the year and they said, "Look, you're killing yourself. Let us work the shop." I said 60-40. My dad gave me the look. Normally it was the mum giving me the look, but it was my dad. I said, "What? I've done all this work." He said, "Look, you wouldn't have got here without us. I built all these shelves and all that stuff." Okay, that's true. He says, "Well, bring your 4 sisters in and they can help you work." I said, "I don't even like my 4 sisters. I do, but as a kid, you didn't."
You've been working since you were 7. You really are a serial entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. And this is a visual for those of you watching the podcast on YouTube.
Oh, y'all watch what's coming.
Watch what's coming. And so for those of you listening,
yeah.
it's a Zoom virtual background that has boxes of cereal, and up the top it says serial entrepreneur, spelt with an S, not a C. So I just was having some fun with that the other day. So see how I mean that story can go really long, but
no. It's part of what makes you you. But eventually you traveled down this road and you ended up on a path that led you to Tradebank. And I'm assuming the first one was in Wichita?
Yes, I used to, right here, for those that, again, visual, it's called the Coffee News. It's a little brown 11 by 17 newspaper with business card size ads. And I published 7 of these papers every week in Wichita, and I had to sell 224 ads a week. And that's a lot of business card size ads to sell when most people only stay in the paper for about 17 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so you had to sell one spot 4 times every year. And anyway, I had a lot of empty space, and the Tradebank guy tracked me down and he chased me around for 6 months. And finally, we were at a networking event. We've become pretty good friends, and we would banter, not barter, banter back and forth about doing barter. Bantering about barter. Anyway. So he said he does this magical, pulls up his hand. He says, "I'm playing the friend card." Like he's got this air card that he's playing, like a soccer referee pulling a red or a yellow card out.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "I'm playing the friend card. You got to sit down. You got to shut up. You got to listen." I'm like, "Okay, John, I will." So I sat down and listened to him, and he'd been chasing me for 6 months to do Tradebank and select and take Tradebank payments, barter payments for my newspaper. And I'm like, "Now I've done one-on-one barter, and I was with this other barter company that charged me like $700 and only brought me $400 in business." And I just, I said, "Look, I'll just do one-on-one barter." And so anyway, John pulls the friend card, and I sit down and I shut up and I listen. He starts off, he says, "Look, a lifetime membership is $495 in Tradebank, and if I don't bring you enough business in the first year, I'll refund your money in full."
Wow.
Sort of did the double take, double mint ad from the Wrigley gum ad back in the day. And I looked at him and said, "Dude, sign me up." He's like jaw dropped. And he says, what? He says, you made me chase you 6 months for that crap? I said, dude, let you in on the way my mind thinks. What I heard you say is I can shut you up for a full year for $500. So I'm thinking if I invested $500, I might make 5% on it over the course of the year. So that's about, I don't know, 30, $35, whatever. Math, not my strong suit. I left school at ninth grade. Okay. End of ninth grade. So I'm thinking I'll lose 30, $35, but I can shut you up for a whole year because John, I trust you. I just don't believe in your product. He's like, Edward Fox, you are something else. I said, that's why they call me Special Ed.
So we're going to fast forward, and I want to ask you a really important question.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing now about being a franchise owner? What do you love most about Tradebank?
Well, I'm a people pleaser and I'm a giver. And so for me, it's just like John helped me open my eyes to what barter could do for my business. And it changed my coffee news business because I was about to lose my shirt and shut it down. I ended up being able to sell it at every penny I put back into it, that I put into it, I got out of it.
That's fantastic.
Because of barter, because it protected my bottom line and I was building up the cash in the bank because I was using barter for a lot of things I was using cash for. So for me, when I can open a business owner's eyes to the fact that, look, here's an untapped resource. It's like finding another bloody revenue stream without changing a thing.
Exactly.
Like you don't change anything. You just
It's
find
just
this.
that easy.
I know. Like, why didn't you tell me about this? And like, John, I felt so stupid in taking 6 months to sit down and, that's my story. I'm not saying it's everybody's story, but that's my story. Right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
For me, it's helping other business owners to have that light bulb go on, that light bulb moment. They go, oh my gosh, this is going to change the way we do business. And I'm not saying like 50% of your business needs to be barter. I'm saying like 5 to 10 to 20%, depending on the cost of goods sold, right?
But you just nailed it. That whole light bulb moment is like literally my favorite thing about bringing on a new member is that experience that we've had, sharing that and finding their light bulb moment.
Exactly.
So what do you think? I know we both agree on this as far as running a trade bank office. What do you think is key? What do you think is one of the most important elements we have inside of, you have 2 franchises, I have 1. What's the most important element inside that franchise?
So that's a great question, Lisa. Are you saying as an owner, like somebody looking at Tradebank as a franchise?
If you, as an owner, okay, you just brought me to my second question, but my first question is still the same. If you, as an owner, what's the first key piece you've got to have? For me, it's a broker. It's finding that.
Oh, yeah.
That person.
Well, for me, I'm not detail oriented. So normally when you open up a franchise like this, and I'm sure most businesses have suffered the same thing, it seems like your first few employees, one might stick, but a lot of them turn over. And so the first few years I had the Tradebank franchise in Wichita, which I've owned for 7 years now, and I've just bought Nashville in August of last year. That's August of 2020. So in Wichita, both franchises had been run for about 20 to 25 years by the same people. So they were very set in the ways that they did things. And so for me, trying to find the right person to hire, and I lucked out. I found this Aussie, actually, another Aussie, and we were connected through a friend on LinkedIn, and we met for lunch, and she was struggling to find work that she felt would actually show off her talents or that she would be satisfied with. And she lives an hour out of town, and she was making a bunch of money. And I told her, look, I this position pays X. That's all I can afford. And so she goes, well, look, I can't find anything that I like. I'll come work for you. Working for another Aussie might work out okay. We're pretty much blunt and to the point. And so she has been a godsend for my business.
I agree.
We promoted her from broker. We started giving her some more money because she was well worth it. I say we because I had a business partner the first couple of years, and he was awesome. But he got a crazy offer where he could go back into the aircraft field. Wichita's a big aircraft city, and so he took that, and so I bought him out. And anyway, so Robin is my broker in Wichita. She's actually became the chief operations officer, and then when I bought Nashville, just last month, actually, I promoted her to president over the company. So she holds 3 roles in the organization. She's president of TradeFox LLC, which owns the Nashville and Wichita regions. She is the chief operations officer in the Wichita market, and she's also the senior broker in the Wichita market. And you know what? she keeps me on track.
I can see that.
Huh?
But you're very blessed. You have her, you have Ashlyn, who does phenomenal with social media. You have Madeline, who really does her Nashville market.
Right. So that's the next part I was going to get to. So not only did I have Robin and it was just her and I for a number of years as we've bought Nashville, and then we get Madeline. And I first met Madeline when I came down to a mixer in Memphis, and she's working the room like a professional. She is connecting the clients and she's having great conversations. And as a 25-year-old, she's got this huge amount of energy, and she's just an amazing person. And she's such a great part of the team that now I've been blessed with two of them. And then along comes my daughter and she says, Dad, I don't really want to work for you. I said, I understand that, but you're working for Robin. You're not working for me. She will be your supervisor. And Ashlyn comes up with some great ideas on social media. So while she's a junior broker, she's focused on social media and she's upped our game across all of the platforms. So I'm super impressed with the three office staff I have right now.
So when you came to the South, you moved from Wichita to the Nashville market. Did you change your good day to good day, y'all?
I did. So I said, look, if I really want to confuse people, I say good day, y'all. And if I want to get overboard, I say good day, all y'all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you had the second question. I think I spent so long on the broker question. Like that was the key ingredient to make a successful office, right? Because they deal with they're the front line. While you and I are both the same, my cell number's everywhere. They can just look up Edward Fox on Google and they're going to find me. And they're going to find some British actor that did something back in the day. But they're going to find me too if they put Tradebank or Cricket or whatever else I'm doing with it. But my number's everywhere. So they can call me. But a lot of them know that Madeline and Ashlyn and Robin are the ones that they should talk to because they've got a good handle on everything that's going on. And I've been blessed with those three.
I agree.
There was a second question.
Well, I was asking you what's your favorite part about Tradebank? What do you love most about being a regional owner?
Well, I love helping other regional owners. So just like I like helping clients. So I've started saying in my sales pitch, and I suck at sales. I'm really great at relationship building, but I really suck at asking for the money, And I had one lady tell me in Wichita after about 5 years, she goes, why have you never asked me to join Tradebank? And I'm thinking, well, I asked her plenty of times. I just didn't ask her directly. She goes, am I not good enough for Tradebank? And I felt, my heart goes because
it stopped for a couple of seconds, didn't it?
Yeah, but I was afraid to ask you flat out to join Tradebank. She goes, no, I've been waiting for you to ask me. I'm like, well, hey, would you join Tradebank? And she's become one of my great friends and great clients.
That's fantastic.
And she joined Tradebank. So that was great. So for me, it's helping the other regional owners, but it's helping the business owners. And I love connecting people. That to me is the best thing. When I can connect two of them together, whether it's two barter people or whether it's a cash person and a barter person, or whether it's two people that just need to meet because of the ideas or opportunities that they have, it might not be a specific product or service or a business, but it might just be an idea or a concept. And I think these two people should meet. That's my favorite part about the whole thing.
Oh, that is for me too. The aha moments, those, when you really see it in their actions and in their faces that they get it, and you put together and construct a deal that really benefits them. So I'm going to put you on the spot. This isn't a question that we talked about. What is your favorite story that you share with someone you just met about Tradebank? What's your favorite story? You're a B&I person. I was a B&I person, ran B&I here in North Alabama. And we always, in B&I, we always talk about stories. Stories are what connect us. So what's your favorite Tradebank story?
So for me, it was my first client because it changed my entire perspective on barter.
How so?
Well, so when I'm out, I'm a member, right? I don't own Tradebank. I'm a member and I sell the coffee news, which is the little brown paper we talked about earlier.
Okay.
And I've called on this guy, and I don't want to embarrass him, but I've called on this guy 6 times for cash. And he says, I love the coffee news, but I don't have any cash. I can't buy advertising. And we charged $1,200 a year. And at that point, I was only doing year contracts because the 17-week contracts were just too much work. So anyway, so I go into him 6 times, and finally, he's like, "Oh, dude, I love the coffee news. I read it everywhere, but I can't advertise." I said, "Okay." And so then John Schott, when I first become a member, he calls me up after about 3 weeks, and he says, "Oh, I think I've got a client for you." I said, "Yeah." And he says, "This guy's name and this guy's business." And I said, "John, I've called on that guy 6 times. He doesn't have any money." He says, "No, but he's got trade dollars." I said, "Oh, okay." So I walk into the shop and I'm like dejected because I'm like, I've done this so many times and I'm not really good on the whole rejection thing, right? So he's rejected me 6 times. And so I walk in and I said, "Hey, John said you wanted to talk to me about coffee news." He said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "You're a Tradebank member." I said, "Yeah, I just became one just about 3 weeks ago." He's like, "I want to advertise in 4 of your editions." I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you need to know? We've talked about everything." He says, "I just need to know where to sign." I said,
Wow.
Well, it's $1,200 an edition." I said, "I can't give you a break. It's on trade. I need to protect my retail margin." He said, "No, that's what you do on Tradebank." He says, you can give a sale price if you want, but you protect your retail margin. So he's teaching me how to use Tradebank, right? And so
Fantastic.
he signs up for a $4,800 sale. And I said, "Do you want to pay that
Wow.
monthly?" He said, "Can't I just give you the $4,800 straight away?" Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. And so I called John. And I go back out to the car and I called John. "Oh, John, he bought $4,800." And and John says, "Yeah, that's great. Cool. I told you." He says, "You're not getting your 500 back now." I said, "Oh yeah, no, I don't care about that. I don't need my 500. I said, "So when does that go in my account?" And he said, "It's done." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "I don't have to wait like my credit card companies, like I got to wait a week or whatever." He says, no, it's done. You can go spend it." He says, "In fact, right beside there is a nice little bar and grill and they do a great patty melt." And he told me the name of the place.
There you go.
And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that's lunch right there. Let's call it lunch." He says,
Yeah.
"Although you should go after the next one because it's easier to make another sale after you've made the first one." I'm like, "Yeah, that's good advice. I've heard it, but I suck at selling. So I'm going to go eat lunch." And so I go and have a burger and I use my Tradebank card. And I'm like, he said, "And you reminded me to leave a tip in cash," because I didn't know it that, this is my first amount of Tradebank dollars, right? So he says, like, the servers aren't on trade. You got to tip them cash. And he said, "Make sure it's good." He said, "They're worth 20%.
20%.
Yeah.
Minimum 20%.
So
I talk to all my members who are the same.
I spend about $15, I think, burger, fries, some fried pickles. Like I was really splashing out, right? And a Coke. And it's $15. And I figured that out and I'm thinking, wow, that's $1.80 that cost me.
Right.
$1.80. Like who doesn't like to spend $1.80 for $15 worth of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And then I left 20%. So I think that was $3. On $15. That's about right. Look at that. Me doing math. 9th grade dropout doing math. So I left about
Impressed.
So I got $1.80 or whatever it was, and $3. So I got like, that was nothing. Like I just saved myself a bunch of cash. And now I realized, I said, "John, am I allowed to take somebody else out and eat on trade?" He says,
"Oh,
yeah, it's your money. You do what you want with it." So I started setting up meetings all on trade. So anyway, so that's my Tradebank story. But the best thing about that is 2 months later, the guy was really happy with his coffee news advertising and he gave me a referral. So I walk into this guy, it's a transmission shop. And I said, "Oh, so you're a Tradebank member?" And he tears into me. He says, "What's wrong with cash?" I'm like, "Well, ain't nothing wrong with cash with 2 forms of ID. I'd got on his wrong side to start with. And then he laughed at that. I laughed at that. And we were back on an even keel. And he bought $2,400 of cash advertising because of a Tradebank referral. So for me, I was
win-win.
Yeah. So that's my story. That's the favorite story I like to tell because it shows not only those of us that don't understand about trade can get a big sale that they couldn't get before. And then that can lead to a cash referral. So that's my favorite story.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic story.
Thanks.
The stories are always my favorite.
When I was looking at Tradebank, I didn't understand it. I did not understand. And I'm a barter guy, right? So my first business, fish and chip shop, convenience store, video movie rentals, I bartered everything. We'd trade pizza with the fish and chips. Our customers would complain because we're eating pizza instead of our own fish and chips. We said, "Look, we get tired of our own food." And then video rentals, I'd trade them for everything. So, I wasn't opposed to barter, but I didn't understand. And this is the big thing I think that I want to share is it's a multi-directional platform with Tradebank. And what that really means, that's them big words, but what that really means is we don't have to trade or barter with the people that barter with us.
Yes. Yep.
So-
I explain that every day.
Right. So that's my big takeaway that really got me to understand Tradebank and a multi-directional platform is that if I'm selling advertising, I don't have to barter with somebody that then has to barter their product or service back to me because we use the trade dollar. We use the Tradebank currency. And so that can go
Exactly.
into our account. And then if I want to go buy coffee, I can go buy coffee. I don't have to do that trade with the same persons. So
I think you're right. I do find that in the sales process a problem for some people just getting that first understanding. And I do the same type of thing that you're doing, where I share Tradebank is just like your bank where you do your business banking at. All the barter dollars you barter in of the things you have that you want to barter in, go in there, and then you get to buy back what you want, not necessarily from the people that bartered with you.
Right.
That's the hardest part of the concept, I think, for some people to get.
It was for me.
Agree. Well, I am glad you got here from the land down under.
Thank you. Hey, great being on the show. Thanks for interviewing me. And I'm looking forward to our first interview with guests. So if you would like to be a
we got
guest.
some surprises. They're going to be enlightened, encouraged, and educated. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Have a great day. Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. It's just that easy.
It's just that easy.
I don't sound like you when I say bada bing, bada boom.
It still sounds good though.
Yeah, okay.